Hey there, everyone. It is Camber here with the YoPro. No, I'm excited to be here today with Stephen Vanyo, 27-year-old associate attorney at the law offices of Lloyd Remick and NFL agent Zane Management, Inc. So that's kind of a mouthful. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Stephen is is with us today from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And as is tradition, I always share how I was connected to each interview. And so Stephen and I were connected through a past interviewee that you might remember, Seth Willis, from a few months ago. And so we are just so excited to have you today, Stephen.
Thanks. Yeah, Seth, what a great guy he is. He and I actually worked together in college at our college radio station. I was a local music director. Seth did some events and PR stuff. WLY Loyola Radio, best college radio station out there, and Loyola, Maryland, great college.
Yeah, so there's definitely some overlap there as well, since I'm from Baltimore. So very cool. And I'd love to kind of segue that into, who are you? Where are you from originally? How did you end up? Obviously, you went to school at Loyola, but what did you do from there? And how did you get to where you are today? So give us that high level, and then we'll dive into the details.
Sure. So I am originally from a small town in Bucks County, Pennsylvania called Quakertown. Went to public high school there at Quakertown High School. Obviously went to Loyola. And then after Loyola, I had a crisis. The band I was in, we had a small record label helping us out, but we weren't really getting the necessary buzz that, would allow me to have a career in music. So I wanted to stay within the field of music and looking into the different positions and the different roles you can have within the music industry and not necessarily be on the talent end of things. I decided to go with being a lawyer. So I decided to take the LSAT. I do okay. I get an offer to go to Arizona with very good scholarship money, the University of Arizona, and I committed. I deposited. Later on, Temple came back, Temple University in Philadelphia, Temple University Beasley School of Law. They came back with and matched funds more or less. And being from around here, growing up in the area, loving the East Coast, loving Philadelphia, I wanted to go to Temple Law. And then perchance off a cold email, I ended up here at the law offices of Lloyd, Remick and Zane Management as an intern. And then, did the whole thing, passed the bar, was officially accepted into the, being a lawyer in January of 2021. And I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Thank you for that overview. So really, it's been not even a year, correct, since you have been fully in this role?
So as an associate attorney, being, all attorneys have to pass the bar exam and go through a character and fitness check to be allowed to practice in the state. So yeah, about 9 months since I've been official.
Okay. So tell us about
but I've been here for 3 years.
For 3 years.
So So in my role, I do the, normal lawyer stuff, dottings of I's, crossing contracts, tearing contracts apart. In addition, we do a little bit of agent work with books, in some instances, music, whether that be placing songs with record companies or individual artists that are independent, or even reaching out to TV and film music supervisors to get our clients' music placed in films and things like that. And then about weeks ago, I found out that I passed the NFL Players Association agent certification test. And I am officially allowed to represent NFL players, which is a tradition that Zane Management has had. Mr. Remick has been an agent for several great players throughout, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And as well as I get to learn on Miss Cabot, who is the for Patrick Mahomes, Spencer Rattler, and several other notable NFL and college players.
Wow, that's quite an impressive list there. And I mean,
Thanks.
I'm sure people who are watching and listening, and myself included, are wondering how you kind of told us, how you got here, but how does one get into this type of law and practice?
Well, to get into it, several law schools offer specialized programs in entertainment law. There are publicly available lists that you can research, whether that be U.S. News and World Report or just a general, music blog that you may enjoy. I did not go that route. I was primarily concerned about cost for law school because I knew how risky of a field this is in. It's a glamorous field, but it's a lot of work behind it. people would say, oh, I'd love to have your 9 to 5. Well, I don't have a 9 to 5. I have a 8 to 8 or 8 to 9 or 8 to 12 or whatever the situation may call for. So to get into it, I just did my research on Google, found this practice, found some connections in networking, talked to my career services department and how to best email. And then I just would send out a cold email, and I timed it right. And he was looking for an intern. The interview went well, the in-person interview. I showed my knowledge in the field and just that. So take chances, cold emails, cold calling. People appreciate, the boldness and the effort it takes to get out there.
Absolutely. I love that advice. Tell us a little bit about some of the tips or pieces of advice that you would give to young professionals or future young professionals who are interested in law. So taking your specific practice away from it and just the field of law, I know a lot of people who are listening or following definitely have maybe considered it before, but what do they need to know?
I think the first thing that they need to know is it's not as glamorous as the TV shows make it out to be. You watch Suits, you watch Law and Order, and it's all objection, yelling at the judge. But really, a lot of it's a lot of reading and writing. So you have to have a passion for reading and writing if you'd like to be able to spend a lot of money in tuition to end up actually enjoy. A lot of people say, go to law school, don't go to law school. But really what it is, just like anything, it's an investment. So check out your risk, check out the investment. There's a lot of law graduates, and there's very limited jobs. So the second advice I would have is you don't have to pick a specialty in your first couple of years in law school, but if you do know what you want to do, focus all your internships and classes on that field. So your resume looks as experienced as possible. Part of the reason why I got my job was I was able to talk about Philadelphia sports history and all these things. Our office actually overlooks City Hall, and there's a long rumor that when Philly built a skyscraper taller than the statue of William Penn on top of City Hall, it's the Philadelphia sports team. So being able to talk about that and having that specific knowledge of the market really impressed my interviewer, and I believe really helped me land the job.
Absolutely. Those are some great words of advice. And I think people, myself included, are a little surprised by some of those, but that's kind of great. I mean, checking your risks, that's not just something that you should do for this industry. It's something that you really should be doing for every kind of industry. So very applicable, which I always like when that happens. But moving on to this next part of the interview, which is about hardships. Tell us about a hardship that you have specifically faced as a young professional. So be like starting from your school days until now, and what have you learned from that? And what have you really put into practice now?
It's a hardship I think everybody's gone through, but really dealing and navigating, trying to become an attorney in the midst of a pandemic. So in my timeline, the world shut down in March 2020. That was midway through my last ever semester in law school. So trying to figure out how to learn in that last semester. And then the most important one was the bar exam. So for those that didn't follow all the issues across the country with the bar exam, there was a real crisis where we had to determine, like the legal profession had to determine if a remotely and online administered bar exam would be able to accurately assess people's fitness to practice law. And then secondly, just the logistics of organizing a statewide test like that. So because of that, and because of those issues, as well as issues regarding social equity and other things to allow people to adequately adapt to this new world, the bar exam was delayed from July to October twice. So compared to my peers, I was on a 2 to 3 month delay of getting out there and practicing, just because I had to take for the bar exam. And the bar exam studying itself, it's like another 40-hour-a-week job in which I was doing addition to my work here part-time. So that was the biggest crisis of my career.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still just kind of starting.
Yeah, I mean, it's still starting, and it's never always going to be perfect. There's always going to be, I think, more stress, more hopefully not crises ahead, but there's always going to be something. So it sounds like you got through this one alive and, are more prepared for the next thing to come your way.
Yeah, I think with COVID and anything at all, it's just something that everybody has had to adapt to, and we're all just learning this new normal at the same time. there's a lot of opportunities that COVID presented with digital networking, which I've really been taking advantage of.
Right. Absolutely. Do you want to tell us more about that digital networking?
Sure. So before, I thought my favorite social media was Instagram. When I got, to be the age that I am, I think LinkedIn is my new favorite social media. Same kind of principle I had with getting this job. Just, it's a click of a button. It's not a big a deal as people think. It's just an email. Most will just glance it, look at it, and move on. If they connect, they will. If they don't, they don't. And just, trying to expand my LinkedIn network, which of in itself, build itself. The more you have, the more mutual connections you have, and the more likely that people are going to accept. Just reaching, congratulating people on their successes, seeing if we're in similar fields and trying to work together. It's easier than ever to connect with people digitally, and it doesn't have the same flavor as in person, where you go to these events and you drink and you eat and you talk and you do whatever you need to do. But digital networking is the new normal for young professionals. And I mean, we've all communicated online forever, but really doing so and learning how to do so in a professional manner, so that you don't seem to be doing anything untoward or rude or flat out creepy, is something that I recommend that everybody learn how to do. Take advantage of the tools and especially the free tools that you have available to you. Check out groups, check out networking sites, check out LinkedIn. Heck, I got an Instagram DM once from a guy that wanted to become a client of ours. So use what you have available to you, and don't be afraid to ask people for help or education. People love to talk about what they do because it's what they spend a majority of their time on. So 10-minute Zoom here, 15-minute phone call there can really help grow your career with very efficient effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, amen to all of that. Love LinkedIn, love free networking opportunities. Everyone should take advantage of it. So love that answer. All right, wrapping up here. Tell us what, and this is a little bit of a curveball. I know I didn't prepare you for this one, so don't hate me. What is something that you want experienced professionals, so above the young professional age, to know about young professionals and the way that we work and the way that we want to work as we come into this post-pandemic workplace?
I think that flexibility is something that a lot of older professionals don't really understand. Everybody's had like rigid routines forever. In my field, you have some clients performing at 10 a.m. and some other clients not performing at 12 a.m. There's no real set hours. So the idea of a 9 to 5 in the office, especially with the availability of remote work and working from home like that, I think that there's a stigma or a stereotype that you can't be as productive. But as long as you have the wherewithal and the focus, I think you can be productive, if not more so. So really being open to work flexibility, whether it comes to hours or be in a remote office, is something I would like to talk to older professionals about, to understand about people like us, young professionals.
Yeah, I totally agree. So any last minute words of advice or things that we didn't cover that you would like to share before we wrap
up? When I learned the underestimate the power of a follow-up. You think some things are over with, but a nice little follow-up, just saying, hey, how are you? Are your things well? Haven't heard from you in a bit. Just want to chat. Sometimes people get caught up in things in their lives that you don't even know about. And being able to follow up with that is a great way to rebuild things that you thought had gone away. So don't underestimate the power of a follow-up.
I love that. Me too. Yeah, that's something that not enough people are good at. And I think your point too about not just making it professional, but personal too. Like, actually insert some of those personal things too. So I think those are all really great things. I've loved getting to know you and your career thus far. So thank you for sharing it with us. How can people find you, Stephen?
People can check us out, www.zanemanagement.com. That's our firm's website. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Stephen, that's with Stephen with a PH, Vanyo. I'm on Instagram. I apologize. I am at SVanyoESQ.
Awesome. I know I will be looking more into your website as well after hearing about some of your clients and some of the work that you do. But so many great points today. I think your point about flexibility, free networking opportunities, and that just digital networking is the new norm are a few among some really wonderful pieces of advice. So thank you again, Stephen. It's been a pleasure having you on the YoPro Now.
Thank you so much. And thanks again to Seth for introducing us. This has been a lovely experience.
Yeah.